Welcome to this week's episode of I Didn't Sign Up for This. My name is Caitlin and I am your host. Today we have Cody with us again.
Hi, everybody.
I had a few people reach out and ask why you haven't been on the podcast for a little while. So I thought it would be a good time for you to join again. But honestly, no, he hasn't been on the podcast because he doesn't work remote anymore. So he commutes down into work and your drive is like an hour or 45 minutes each way. There's not very many days he works remote. So we used to record occasionally like on his lunch, and now we don't have the ability to do that. So it's like the only time that we can record together is at night, which nights are always crazy.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, you don't get home till like 6:30, and then it's like dinner, dance, swim, like homework, like all that stuff. There's just like no way in hell. We're not doing it after the kids go to bed either. That's like definitely never happening. And then weekends are always just so busy. We've been so busy the last month with Halloween and our daughter's birthday. So anyway, that's a long answer to why he hasn't been on the podcast. Well, and it was getting to the point where it's like, I really wanted you to be on the podcast. And then it was like the day I had to submit the episode for the next week. And I'm like, okay, well, now I'm just going to have to do it alone.
Yeah.
So there's a couple episodes where, they're just with me. Maybe not as interesting.
Oh, they're plenty interesting.
Did you listen to them?
Yes, all of them.
No.
I do listen to them.
Sometimes I'll be having conversations and I'll be like, I talked about this on the podcast. And so then I know that you're not listening to it all the time. Which I don't blame you. I don't blame you for not. Like, you need your escape.
Is this gotcha journalism?
No, you need an escape from your life, because we obviously talk a lot and you don't need to always hear me talk more.
Well, we talk about the things that you talk about on your podcast.
I know.
Before your podcast and then after. I do listen to your podcast though.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. I don't think that makes you a bad person. Like, if you don't listen to every episode, I think that's fine.
There's plenty of other stuff that makes me a bad person.
I don't really know what to say.
Confession time.
I just got the picture that you sent of me interviewing Tulo. I'll put on the Instagram for everyone.
It's very riveting.
If you're watching on YouTube, we record every episode video, and then we put it on YouTube. So there's some people who like to watch podcasts on video, which I think is really interesting. But so I put all of them on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can see Tulo sitting on Cody's lap. He's always there. So yeah. What? Pointing to them. Watch 20 people who watched my video, who probably didn't even watch the whole thing. Probably watched like 60 seconds and then was like, oh, just kidding.
Whoever listens to this is my favorite of all of your community.
I feel like we should just do like a giveaway specifically for people who watch on YouTube, like some type of incentive, because
but don't announce
those people, like if there's anyone out there who watches the podcast on YouTube from like start to finish, watches the whole thing, like I want you to reach out to me and let me know, and I will give you something. I don't know what. Very off
$1,000.
Doll hairs. I don't have $10,000. Don't say that.
Don't announce it on your socials though.
Okay, we're it's not gonna be $10,000. It'll be like, maybe I'll send you like a sweat set when they launch, or a crossbody, or like,
that's a good gift.
Or like $50 shop credit, or coffee. I don't know, whatever. Like, just reach out. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out the details later.
Your gifts are getting less appealing. You're like, a sweat set, a credit.
No, I'll do a sweat set.
Coffee.
Well, the reason why I'm offering like different things is because I don't have a lot of things in my shop. So like, there's some diehards who have bought everything in my shop. And like that girl I was telling you about, who just spent like a ton of money. She literally bought every sweat set in every color. Well, not every, every color in the sweat set in her size. And she's just the best supporter. And I was thinking, I'm like, I want to reach out to her and like give her something, but I don't have anything else to give her because she's bought everything in my shop, because I only have like 5 things. So that's why I was like, well, we could do, a crossbody or the set, or, because what if it's her? She already has everything. So I would want to give her like some, a Venmo or something.
Send her a framed signed picture of Tulo.
Oh my God. I actually think people might be into that.
Who wants an autographed picture of Tulo?
So we should do like, I know there's some influencers who do like Christmas cards, and they will
Mhm.
ask their followers, they'll do like a question box and stories and be like, send me your address and I'll send you a Christmas card of like my family or whatever.
Mm.
I've never done that, but maybe we should do that this year and just have it be just Tulo.
Yeah, some Tulo swag.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so funny because obviously, like, I'm just thinking out loud right now. We're just totally going off the cuff. We had no intention of
No
talking
rhyme
about
or
this.
reason.
We're, again, not prepared for this episode. So we just had a window of opportunity and had no time for an outline.
Let
So
chemistry take the wheel.
But no, there's like, it actually is kind of a little bit like, oh, would I really want to send a bunch of people, Christmas card with like my kid's picture on it that I don't know, like in real life? I don't know. There's a lot of influencers that do it, which I feel like I'd be okay with it, but I feel like lately there's been like more, like, what if there's a creeper who did that? So we might just only do Tulo because we don't really care if Tulo's victimized, his photos victimized in some way.
Nobody gets a picture. That's it. The visual of whatever is going to happen.
We're entering dangerous territory where I might get flagged for something.
We've got to protect Tulo. Okay. But for $9.99 a month, we'll send you pictures of Tulo and you can do whatever you want to those.
And his paws. He's looking at us like, please don't.
Just pimp our dog out. It's so sad.
Okay. Anyway, that was totally random. Okay, guys. Well, anyway,
just edit all that
thanks.
out.
No, we'll leave it in. I don't have time to edit that out. The more I've been doing editing, the more I'm like, do I really need to cut that? It's okay if it just sounds kind of bad or there's these long pauses. Like, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Yes, it does matter. That's the answer. Cody's getting annoyed with me. Okay, let me look at my notes to keep me on track. It's the ADHD. Okay. So, all right. So let's just do, since it's been a while since you've been on the podcast, let's just kind of talk about life and like things that are going on. So how's life?
Very busy. I think you touch on a lot of it on your socials that we're just constantly going,
Yeah.
From the minute we wake up till the minute we go to bed, every single day, weekdays, weekends. This is a rare occurrence right now.
I know. Yeah.
That it's just no itinerary.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we're going to your families for some Halloween stuff, but
yeah, but that's like, it's just like, there's no preparation. There's no expectation. Like we can just show up. It's not like a big ordeal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just very busy with work. I'm in court a lot recently and, my job's just very busy.
Yeah.
Having to commute down there. So
have you shared what you do for work on the podcast yet? I know I've talked on social a little bit, but there's a lot of people who like miss stories, like views in comparison to followers is actually like quite low. So maybe you can just say what you do for work.
Yeah. So I work for a public defense firm in Salt Lake. So when people can't afford an attorney, our firm is appointed to assist them. And then I work exclusively on homicide and sex cases. I run the paralegal department and I do paralegal and mitigation investigations, which if you like true crime, it's pretty cool.
Here's the deal. What happens in our day-to-day is that you don't get home until like 6 or 6:30 at night. There's 2 days a week where the kids have activities at night. They have dance and then swim. And so I'm like doing that with them. By the time you like get home and I'm home, like we're eating dinner, we're rushing through, it seems like we're like rushing through homework. We're like trying to get our kids' homework done, do their reading. Daphne has to wear an eye patch for 2 hours a day, which we do in the evenings. And it, after all of that, it just feels like we can't even have like a conversation because dinner is chaotic. The kids are whining or they're asking for things or we're trying to get them to eat, whatever. And then it's like, okay, we need to like clean up. Then it's homework. Then it's this. Then it's that. And then it's bedtime. And then we're just so completely exhausted at night after the kids go to bed that we don't really have time. Well, we do have time, but like we're just so mentally depleted that I want to hear about your day, but I'm also like, I feel like at that point I have nothing more to give.
And that's fair. And my job is very heavy.
It's not about like your job.
But even so, like my job's very heavy. And honestly, like at the end of the night, I don't really want to talk about it either.
Yeah. But I feel like that's, I mean, maybe I'm wrong here, but I feel like that's reciprocated. I feel like it goes both ways. Like we both kind of at the end of the night, like we put the kids to bed and sometimes we just want to, or more often than not, like I usually just want to go straight to bed.
And I just want to sit on my phone in the dark.
Yeah. And so that causes us to not really like talk about work or talk about like how our day was or talk about literally anything other than what we have to talk about in regard to the kids and scheduling and like whatever, logistics. Outside of that, we don't really have like that time to connect. And that was kind of like one thing that I thought like we would talk about a little bit on today's episode is just kind of lack of connection and like how things have been recently because they have been so busy. And yeah, I don't know.
We just connected.
Well, yeah.
No, I know what you mean. It's very
What?
nothing. Oh,
okay.
Boy. No, it's very hard because you just at the end of the day, after you've done everything, you just want to kind of like disassociate a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. You are going nonstop from the second you wake up till the second you put the kids to bed. Like there is no time for like anything for you to do anything for yourself, to relax. Like even dinner is like a lot.
Yeah.
Sitting with the kids or doing their homework or, they're always asking for snacks and they want to do this, and they want to do that. And, but yeah, it's just very hard.
Yeah. I think, there was a couple nights last week where I feel like we sat down for dinner. The girls ate like 2 bites and then they just like ran downstairs to go and play. And then it was just you and I finishing eating. And then we had a conversation for like, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes after. That was very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't interrupted by the kids. I feel like our kids are getting to an age where they are more independent. They're playing pretty well together for the most part. And so there were a couple nights where I was like, oh, this is nice. Even just 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, anything without interruption.
It's about the 15-minute mark. So what do you think's about to happen?
Yeah. Well, we gave the kids their iPads, so they should. We hear footsteps. Yeah, honey. Yeah, babe. You don't know where Pinky is? Okay. Can I come help you in just in a minute? Is she in your room? Go check in your room, okay? What were we talking about? Oh.
Cut. Cut.
Basically, this is what happens like every time we try to have a conversation. But it is getting better. I will say that. Better than when they were a newborn 2-year-old. Where you really couldn't have a conversation.
Yeah, in some ways, yes. In some ways, no.
Yeah.
They're mobile, which is hard.
Yeah. And that is parenting, you guys. We're just trying to you're interrupted all the time and you're just trying to collect your thoughts and then get back into the groove. And then you're interrupted again. And then it takes a little bit to get back in the groove. And then you're interrupted again. No, that's just how it is.
I mean, this is normal, right?
I absolutely think it is because I post about it all the time on social media and everyone, there's so many people who respond. They're like, yes, this is very real. And I actually think it's not as bad for us right now with the ages that our kids are versus how it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, because I feel like there's something wrong with me that I'm feeling this way all the time, just overwhelmed and stressed about how busy and demanding and everything is. But hopefully it's normal.
I think it's absolutely normal. And I interviewed my mom last week for the podcast and I asked her about this, how did you feel overwhelmed just all the time? And she was like, yeah. And my mom did a lot. She had 6 kids. She did a million things. She was super mom and I don't know how she did it. And she got through it and she got through it without any mental health issues, which was a moment in the interview where I was like, I'm surprised you didn't have mental health issues because that's a lot. But no, I think it's very normal. And I wonder that all the time too. There's got to be something wrong with us sometimes, I feel like. And I do feel like sometimes we could have better attitudes about things or we could be more prepared or more on top of things to make whatever we're doing a little bit easier and smoother, or we could just have better attitudes to kind of just roll with the punches rather than get caught up in expectations versus reality. Because I feel like that's where a lot of frustration comes from is the expectations that you have for a certain activity or whatever it is that you're doing with your family or your kids' behavior versus what the reality actually is. I feel like the difference in those two is what causes like my frustration is when I have the expectations and then it's just not, it just doesn't turn out the way that I expect it to.
Yeah. And for me, I just feel like I'm just tired all the time
Yeah.
from going nonstop. And I mean, it's not always like that, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think lately, just with how busy life has been, what do you call it? Season of life?
Season of life. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so busy lately that, I'm just experiencing massive burnout lately. And I don't think it's anything with like expectations. I think it's just everything is happening at once. Like this is like the busiest time of year in general. And then, you have all of your stuff with your business and your socials, and my work is crazy. The kids are having a ton of time off of school.
Oh my God, I know.
Which, yeah.
Like, don't get me started on that. I'm just like,
yeah,
we just got off
spring
fall break. Yeah.
Or fall break for a week, and then a teacher day.
A teacher day. And it's, yeah. And like, I don't know. It's hard. It's just hard as a parent. And yeah, I have to keep reminding myself of this is like, it's not always like this. And we were talking about this the other day, like balance. Like, what does balance mean in life as an adult? Like you're balancing, you hear it all the time, balancing parenthood, work-life balance. Like what does that actually mean? And I think a common assumption is that balance is finding like that perfect amount of work time, personal time, time with your kids, time with your friends, and time with your partner. Like the perfect equal balance among all those things. And I know it does not exist. I know that doesn't exist. Like there are times in life where I am more busy with work. And so I don't have as much time to give to my partner or my kids. And maybe I have to utilize childcare more. And then there's other times where a month ago, I wasn't as busy at work. And so I was able to spend more time with the kids and I was able to do more one-on-one things with them and sit on the floor and like be more present and do some of those extra things. But now I'm in a season where I'm a little bit busier at work. And so I just don't have as much time to give. And it's so easy for ourselves to get caught up in like everything we're not doing. But it's like, can we just focus on what we are doing and what we are doing well? That doesn't mean that we can't try to be better, but like it will never be perfect. There will always be something that falls. There will always be something that falls through the cracks and like doesn't happen, or the expectations like aren't met, but it's going to ebb and flow. And so I just think that's like something that's really important to remember, because it just, for me, my experience, I just get more frustrated more than anything when I'm trying to achieve a perfect balance, because it's not achievable.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about it, but like, I think we like kind of differ in the way that we view this, but
I mean, I agree with you. In theory, it's much more difficult in practice for me. I think I try and have the right expectations, and but I think it's just really lately that it's been hard for me. Just with how busy everything is. But yeah,
well, tell me, so like, what do you really think about that? Like a balance. What does a balanced life mean to you?
I mean, it's really hard to know.
Well, but like,
I think
what do you
balance,
envision?
I think balance is like, you're creating outside of like all of your obligations, right? Like you have work, like school, whatever. Like balance is, in the time that you do have, like you're doing things for you. I think you got to take care of yourself like first.
Yeah.
Because you're no good to anybody if you don't take care of yourself. So if you're always going and doing stuff for everyone else all the time, it's just going to destroy you.
Yeah.
What I think. But, I play hockey in a league. I, play, it's after the kids, and Caitlin have gone to bed, once a week. And I go to the gym. I haven't been as consistent lately.
Yeah.
It's just been hard. But like doing those things for me helps me show up more as a partner and as a parent and as an employee at work, So balance for me is like doing those things for yourself so that you can like show up in other ways.
Yeah, I feel like like that's in theory that makes sense, and you hear it all the time. Like you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. Like I understand that logically, but like, especially these last couple of weeks, I haven't been taking care of myself. I haven't been going to the gym. I haven't been doing any of those things because I am very busy at work, with my launch, with, my regular things, the podcast, like just all these things. And then having lack of childcare. We didn't have childcare from my mom all of September. And then my grandma was hospitalized. And my mom, was like her primary care person basically. And then fall break happened. And so with all of those things, while I'm trying to run a business and I am one person, and a lot of these things, like I'm trying to figure out on my own. Like, I don't know marketing. I don't know accounting. I don't know finance. I don't know how to like build a website. I don't know, like I'm teaching myself literally everything with the business. And it's time consuming. When you have to teach yourself, it's not like you have an SOP you can just go to and like learn how to do it. Like you're literally trying to figure it out yourself and problem solving. And it's hard. And so it takes a lot longer for me to do things, I feel like. So with all of those like combination of things, like I haven't been able to take care of myself. And I know that you've felt like really neglected in these recent weeks. But it's like, what am I going to say to you? Like, because I need to take care of myself before I can like be available to you. So I'm like, oh no, like I can't be there for you, or we can't like have our date night, or we can't like watch show together, or we can't like connect. I have to like go to the gym and like go to yoga and have like time with my friends, like because I need to fill my cup before I can be with you, because there's not going to be any time left for you at the end of it. So right now, like I'm in a season of like I'm really neglecting myself, because that's like kind of the last thing that like that's the first thing to go. I can't neglect my business. I can't neglect my kids. And if I want to have a successful relationship, I can't neglect my partner, And if it comes down to like me neglecting myself or neglecting my partner, like I'm going to neglect myself. I'm not going to take care of myself because those other things are just higher priority right now. And it won't be like that forever. Like the goal for me one day is to like hire someone and have someone to help me. And that's not in the cards for me right now as a startup and a small business that's not making money. Like, so it won't be like that forever, but I think that I have like a good understanding of this is temporary. This isn't how it always is going to be, and yeah, I can always try to be better. I can try to be more strategic, but I have to just kind of like change my mindset around that. So sometimes it's like, it feels like the self-care thing, and like, I get it, but there's also times where you can't do it. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't do anything for myself during normal hours.
But you play hockey, and you didn't choose those hours for your games.
Right, but like if games were at 6, I wouldn't really feel like I could make that work.
I would 100% encourage you to go and do it.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like it just wouldn't work, It wouldn't work as well because then I would be missing out, and it boils down to like expectations, right? Like, you have a career and you have a family and you have yourself. And your career is like a non-negotiable thing. Like you have to do it to sustain your life.
Yeah.
And then your family, there are obligations that go with that, right? So you got to hit those things. And then like the things for yourself, like the gym, I have to go either really early in the morning or really late at night.
Yeah.
Like
that's how it is for me too. And that's why I just don't go.
Yeah. So I have to go before everyone wakes up or after everyone goes to bed.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to though. And we're going to like later today, we're going to look at our calendar. Remember we said we were going to do that. And like, because I think one thing that we're not doing really well either is there are opportunities for both of us to have like our self-care time and our alone time. But if you're not intentional about it, that time will pass you by and it will be gone. And so we need to be more intentional about what our calendar looks like. And when we do have those pockets of time where we don't have kid activities, Cody's home from work, I'm home and don't have things going on. And, maybe there's a couple hours before bedtime, because it also shouldn't be like, okay, you have to go to the gym at 9 p.m. Like that. I don't buy into that. Like there is time that we can dedicate to ourselves, but we have to be more intentional and we have to plan it. That's what we're going to start doing like on our Sunday meetings, is like really going through our calendar and finding that time. That's important to me. And I really believe that we can get there. We just have to be more intentional.
Yeah. And, as with anything, like you're going to have to give something up. You know?
Yeah.
Like, am I going to give up dinner with the family once a week?
Yeah. And I think that's fine.
It's hard though, you know?
Why is it hard to give up dinner once a week with the family? It's only one time.
Yeah.
There's 6 other times you're there. You make those 6
true.
other times count.
Word.
Anyway, yeah. I'm trying to. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say is like that we've kind of been struggling with. I don't know how comfortable you are like talking about this, but we kind of talked about talking about it on the podcast.
Talking about it. We can talk.
Do you want to talk about scheduled intimacy?
That's fine.
Okay. You want?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I don't really know where to start, I guess. Maybe we say like why we're starting to schedule intimacy. And schedule is like, it just sounds bad, but I don't think it's like at 8:00 on the dot. Here's our intimacy. You know, we're being intimate right at 8 p.m. No, it's like, well, we talked about this. Like, when do we want to do it? When do we want to have that? When do we want to do it? But like, when do we want to have it?
When do we want to have the doing?
When do we want to have the sex?
If you're listening,
no, but we talked about.
I am so sorry.
I think he stopped listening because he hasn't said anything about the podcast recently.
You should put a disclaimer on this.
Like we're just gonna lay it out here.
Oh Jesus!
Well, it's gonna make me look bad, but it's okay. I just didn't want to have sex very often. It wasn't on my mind. I didn't really think about it. Everything else was like more of a priority, and like I think a woman's libido is not as high as it once was when you're 17, 18 years old, or you're in a new relationship, when you're on Zoloft. Like I take Zoloft. There's a lot of like factors that go into, and then also just like the mental load. Like I don't feel like I have like the mental capacity because I'm always thinking ahead and always thinking of like the things that need to be done in order to run the household that I'm taking on. And so I just don't really think about sex like that. And it's more important, I would say, to you. And it's not that it's not important to me because I enjoy it, but it's just not something I'm thinking about. And so we were just kind of running into this where we're like, we're not having quality time together. We haven't been going on dates. If I don't have that quality time, which that's what my love language is, it's really hard for me to be intimate. Just because it feels like just like a switch has to turn, you know? It's like, you don't just go from like being a mom and like doing all the mom things to the next second, like just being like this sexy, you know, woman to like please her husband, you know, like that switch just doesn't happen. There's got to be like some gray like area where you're like transitioning.
Segue.
Yeah. And so I think that, yeah. And so basically like we just, you know, had some conversations about it, and we're going to start kind of scheduling it, but we're going to do our date night and then plan on having intimacy after. So it's like, there's like that warm up and there's that quality time that happens before the intimacy happens. So it's not just like that switch.
Well, there's a few things I want to say. Like, I think it's important that everyone knows that I help out.
I know. I know. Yeah.
Around the house. And I try and do things to like, you know, take things off your plate.
Well, you definitely, you're not taking things off my plate. You do your share.
Yeah. Tomato.
Yeah.
I play my part.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You carry your weight.
As close to 50-50 partner as we've been ever.
Yeah.
It can be better.
100%. Yeah.
And we're working on making it better. I'm getting better all the time.
Yeah.
At stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think there are things that are important to you that aren't as important to me, that are becoming important to me because they're important to you.
Like what?
Like just tasks or things around the house or activities. Like you have a certain expectation of how things should be, how you want them to be, how you can function normally in those situations.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe I don't expect things to be a certain way.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's just meeting in the middle, but I do a lot around the house.
Yeah.
And I try and make things like easy on everyone. It's not just me, you know, neglecting my responsibilities and then expecting anything from you.
No, absolutely not. Like you definitely carry your weight and you do your fair share. When I say like a mental load, like what I'm really talking about, and like this is something we're working through, like let me just say that like I feel like we were both just kind of raised in a generation where the women just took care of the house. They did all the party planning. Like we just had a birthday party that, and like I know for myself, like a month or two before Harper's birthday, like I was already thinking about her birthday. And like I feel like from a young age, like I've probably just been taught and conditioned to do those things where men are and boys as they're growing up are not really taught to do that. And so it's very more natural for me to think ahead and be like, okay, my daughter's birthday's coming up. These are the things that she's interested in. This is what she wants to do for her birthday party. These are who her friends are. I need to figure out, her friend, like their moms are. So, there's like all the things that go into it, hours of work. But those are things that like I was taught to do, basically. Men have not been taught that for the most part. And so I think that we're really in like a transformative generation where like we really are shifting those things to be like more equal. As far as that goes, it hasn't been something that anyone has talked about until really the last few years that I've seen where people are actually talking about like these types of things. So I just want to be clear. Yeah, it's not like your fault. It's not like you're like a bad partner, any husband, like whatever. Like, but I don't know why we're even like talking about that. That's not really like what
No,
we were talking about.
I just wanted to bring that up because I mean, you mentioned like the mental load and stuff, and
yeah,
how that factors into intimacy and stuff. And
yeah,
there's no pressure on intimacy either. I think that's important for me to put out there for
no, I
people that are
know.
listening. That
I
there's
don't
like
think anyone.
there's no pressure or expectation or anything like that. We live in a society where like bad shit can happen to me if
Well,
people
yeah, like
feel
at
a
the end of
certain
the day,
way.
like if Friday night comes around, we had our night or whatever, and like I'm not feeling well, like if I'm on my period or like I just don't feel or whatever reason it is, if it really came down to it and I was like I don't want to have sex, like yeah, of course there would not be that pressure to do it.
Right.
It's not like, oh, it's day 7, it's happening on day 7, it has to no matter what. That's not what this is. It's just to keep us kind of on a regular schedule with that because I will not just like act on that. Like I won't if it's like already in the calendar, and I know this just like sounds
So
formal, but like I've talked to so many different couples that schedule intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just something that you have to do when you are an adult and you have children and you have busy lives, and it's either that or you don't, and it just doesn't happen, and then both partners are left feeling frustrated and disconnected.
Well, it's not even like scheduling like sex, it's like scheduling time together that naturally evolves into that potentially.
Yeah, that's why
Right?
you have
Like,
like that warm up period where we're like on our date, even
yeah,
if it
and
is an at home date night. It's like we're
yeah,
still watching a movie and we're cuddling and the kids are in bed, and yeah, we're like warming up to that.
and you're looking really sexy, and I'm
And my
like, "What's up,
sweatpants.
honey?" And no, like it's not scheduling like, "Hey, 8 o'clock, on a Friday, 8 Mountain Standard Time." Comment a smiley face on Caitlin's posts because you know what's happening. No, it's just scheduling. Like, I mean, intimacy just isn't just physical intimacy, right? Like it's scheduling like
Yeah.
time to be together and prioritizing like the relationship.
Yeah.
Right. Like on Fridays or Saturdays or whatever day, it's just that.
Yeah.
It's not a formal thing, it's not a business thing. It's just, if you're at a point where life is insanely busy, you need to carve out time to, focus on your relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think
That was
so.
a rant.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I don't think it was. I think that's like very relatable. I think a lot of people are going to relate. And I really don't think that anyone's going to like come for you if you're worried about that.
But are you going to come for me? Sorry.
Uh-huh.
Nothing.
Like in a good way or a bad way?
Okay.
Earlier, I was really hangry and I was really coming for you. I was about to rip your face off, honestly, as you're eating your McDonald's.
Not in a sexy way either, so. What I want your followers to do, though, is like at 8 p.m.
It's not going to be at 8 because our kids don't even go to bed till
All
like 8:39. So
let's say 9 o'clock on a Friday. Comment a derogatory emoji on Caitlin's most
I won't see it because
recent
I have my
post.
notifications turned off.
I know, but just do it because I want to see how many people are commenting like
I don't have that many listeners on the podcast, honestly. It's a very small amount, a very
We'll
we're a very tight-knit community.
We'll
I'll say
tell
that
who
on
the
the
best of the
podcast.
best are.
I know, really. Yeah. I should just do another giveaway for just everyone who listens to the podcast if you've gotten this far in the episode.
Yeah, and it's like
500 people. I'm like, okay, wait, actually I can't give 500 things away. I don't have that much.
It's a post about something like very heavy and people are commenting eggplant emojis.
Oh. I'll just make sure to post something like very like sentimental and unrelated to sex and on a Friday. Okay. Yeah, the other thing. Oh, okay. Let me check to see how far we are. Okay, we're at like 45 minutes, so we can chat for like maybe 10 more minutes. I wanted this could be like maybe we just save this segment for another time. I wanted to talk about like advice you'd give your younger self. I don't feel like we can really do that in 15 minutes. Maybe we save that for like a future episode. Future episode.
Because you kind of have to go into why you're feeling, why you would give that.
Yeah, advice. Like we'll want to have some dialogue like back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing that like I just had a thought about, why don't we talk about, we won't name names, but why don't we
maybe maybe let's
do you know what I'm gonna say?
I don't know, but maybe let's name names.
Let's talk a little bit about the media company that reached out and wanted us on their show. We won't say who. We won't say.
Oh.
Yeah, and should we just talk about that? Yeah. We won't say names.
I wouldn't name that.
Yeah, we're not going to name names. But
I'm all for calling someone out, but
yeah, I'm not going to do that. Okay, I just thought it's an interesting story. Mm-hmm. So I got a call from a producer, who wanted us on their show, on the show that they produce,
on the show that they help produce. And they said, hey, we want to talk to you about this topic. We saw some TikTok videos that you posted. We want to talk to you about this topic. I won't say the topic. I don't know. It wouldn't matter, but I just won't say it. You want to say the topic? It's not gonna...
Okay. They wanted to talk to me about the Surgeon General's report that came out recently about parental overwhelm and stress and feeling burnt out, basically. And I was like, yes, I want to come and talk about this. Like, I'm really passionate about this subject. Love to. Then on the call, they're like, okay, well, what about your husband? And I was like, okay, like, yeah, he can come out. Like, let me check with him with work and just make sure it's fine. But, and they wanted us to come out the following Monday and Tuesday. Anyway, it was like great. I was like really excited about it. And long story short, we had some like back and forth, like multiple conversations, emails back and forth. They started asking questions in some of these interviews. They wanted me to do like a video interview where I was talking about certain things. So I did that. Then they came back and they're like, well, can you talk more about this? Can you talk more about your marriage, your relationship, how parental stress like affects relationships, how that affects and like has manifested in your kids. And they're asking like very specific questions where it was just kind of leading more into personal, like really personal, intimate information about our relationship and like our kids. Mm-hmm. And so we ended up not doing it just because it just seemed like what they wanted was for us to come out, and they were really pushing for Cody to be there, because at first I was like, he may not be able to come because this is so short notice. He has this really demanding job. Like he has court scheduled. Like, I don't know if he can come. And they were really pushing for him to come there. And they said, it doesn't mean that you can't come. Like, maybe you still can, but like, we really want it to be with a relationship, couples. And so I thought that was like the first thing that I thought. I was like, why are they pushing so hard for him to come? Because it's not like you're in my content that much. And it's not like they called me and said, hey, we want to talk about your relationship. Because I understand like the fact that we've gotten back together after divorce is people are interested in that and want to know, but that's not how they approached me. They approached me and said it was going to be about something else. And then they kind of just changed what the topic was going to be like, or like the questions that they were going to be asking.
Yeah, it kind of evolved from, hey, let's have you on to talk about this topic, to, hey, come on the show and be a case study about how parental overload is negatively impacting your relationship and negatively impacting your kids.
Yeah. And specifically, what are you doing to like cope with that? Are you stonewalling in your relationship? Are you drinking too much wine? Are you, I can't remember what else they said. Are you disassociating? Like they wanted really specific information. And then they were also asking about like if I thought that like my anxiety and stress that I have as a parent, if I worry that has affected my kids, because that's part of the report, it's just how the way that parents feel and like their mental health actually does directly affect their children. But then they were asking like very specifically why, like in what ways has your daughter like experienced or shown signs of like certain things? And I was like, that's like a little too much. Like that's my daughter. I'm not going to talk about my daughter's personal experiences. Like I can share that I am worried about the way that, you know, my mental health is potentially affecting her, because that is a fear that I have. But I'm not going to talk about her experience and situations that have happened. I'm not going to talk about that.
No, and it kind of seemed like they wanted us to go and kind of, show that we're like a broken couple, or like, and that's just simply not true, at least in my opinion.
Well, we just didn't want to get on the show and then just like be interviewed by this person and then just kind of be stuck in this and be asked these questions that like we have to answer, and then have it just be like this very negative thing, you know? It kind of made me think like I grew up watching like Jerry Springer and, you know, like those types of shows. And I remember always thinking like, why would anyone like put themselves in that position to like go on these shows?
They didn't even offer to pay us either.
Yeah. So. And like, obviously, yeah, it wasn't, they were going to pay for us to go out there, but they weren't going to pay us any money to be there. And so, but I've wondered, I'm like, I wonder if like, this is how like some of those like really tragic shows happen. Like they almost like trick people into coming on the show thinking it's going to be one thing, but it really like ends up being something a little different. Like they just kind of like just bear, like it's related, but it's like not the way that you think it's going to go.
Yeah. It's adjacent.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. That was weird.
Yeah.
I don't want to go on there and, pretend like our relationship's bad.
Yeah.
Or pretend like we're bad parents, or play up the struggles, in our relationship, or, with our children.
Yeah. And I really just wanted to go to talk about like the report, like what came out. And then, yeah, I'm happy to share like some of my own personal experiences and how like I feel like I've been, how stress is like manifested from certain things like lack of affordable childcare, lack of parental leave, you know, the cost of food, school shootings, like those types of things. I'm happy to talk about that, but I don't want to talk about like how it's like affected my relationship outside of like a very surface level. Like, yeah, of course it like these things, these stress like causes problems in relationships, but I wouldn't want to go deeper than that.
Yeah, I thought it was a little weird because, when you first told me about it, you said they want us to come on to talk about the report, which I found strange.
That's what they said.
Yeah, which I found strange because, if they wanted someone to talk about the report, wouldn't they bring in like, an economist to talk about like the financial aspect of it?
Well, Good Morning America reached out to me. They said that they found my interview. They saw my interview on Good Morning America. Right. And so Good Morning America just interviewed me as like just a normal mom who's posted about this on social media. I thought it was going to be like the same thing as that, but they wanted to go a little bit of a different route.
It'll be interesting to see how it turned out with whoever was on there.
I know. I don't know what will end up happening, but usually I think when they record these episodes, I don't think they come out for a while, like the TV shows. I think it's like usually a few months before it's actually like released. So we'll just have to like keep an eye out and see what happens, see what tragic use case they have, or maybe it will turn out fine and it was just us kind of not feeling comfortable. But
yeah, it's hard putting myself out there in that way as well.
Yeah.
You
just don't want to like put your life on blast. Like people just want to see like the drama. They want to see like the intimate details that like don't make you look good. And so you have, I don't know. It's like you have to kind of be careful. I think a flaw that I have I mean, it's a flaw, but it's also like a good thing is that like I just think that everyone is just like good and everyone has like good intentions and everyone, and I'm not saying that this like show didn't have good intentions. Maybe they did, but sometimes you have to like take a step back and like think, and be like, wait, like maybe like what's in it for them. You kind of got to like think full circle.
Yeah, and I applaud you for, putting yourself out there in that way. I think it's incredibly brave to like show up and post about the things you post about on social media.
But I have control over what I post because.
But you don't have control over the response, right? So like
no, but
the response, like you're putting yourself out there knowing that like the response could go sideways, and it does sometimes, right? Like it goes to the trolls and they say all this negative shit. And I mean, for the most part, it's like 99% positive, and which I think says a lot about your community.
Yeah.
But, it's also possible that it could go sideways and you still show up and you put that stuff out there. That's very difficult for me.
Yeah.
Because I focus on the negative. So if any of you motherfuckers say stuff that's negative, just know that I am looking at it nonstop.
I know you actually look at my comments more than I do. You're like, did you see this person? And I'm like, I haven't looked at my comments for like 2 days. So no.
I'm sorry I called you motherfuckers. Don't get mad at me in the comments,
I think anyone who's listening to this podcast probably is like a diehard. They're like our
ride or dies.
They're our ride or dies. Like they're just like our tight knit, like they're here for it type of people.
Yeah, Brittany in Omaha is like fucking on it.
Brittany in Omaha?
Yeah, your most loyal follower.
I don't know Brittany.
I don't know. It's an amalgam.
Oh, that's like a real person.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all I guess we'll talk about today. I don't have anything else to add about that show, but kind of an interesting experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, we will chat next week. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and follow the show. And then also leave me a review if you haven't already. I love reading the reviews. They've kind of been trickling in, and I think I'm going to start doing, I think this is just like an episode of giveaways. I think I'm just going to start doing more giveaways for people that leave reviews. Maybe I'll just send you a coffee. But definitely go leave a review if you haven't already. And yeah, we will talk next week.
And if there is a Brittany in Omaha out there, please reach out because we will do something very special for you.
Cody will do the giveaway on this one.
Yeah, somebody.
But you have to prove you live in Omaha.
And that your name's Brittany, right? Can't just change your name or put it on there.
But we won't ask for your ID because that's personal information that we don't want.
It's true.
Okay.
But if there is just a random Brittany in Omaha, and if you like me on the, on this podcast, then let me know. I'll be on it more, but.
Your podcasts are always the top downloaded, just so you know, like by double. So,
well, I think it's just because people want to know.
I think people like you too.
Maybe
you're very likable. I don't show enough of Cody on social media, because he obsesses over the comments, and I'm like, I'm like, you can't handle this. So I'm like, I have to be really careful, like how I show him because I don't want him to spiral. But you guys don't see enough of him, and I want to show more of like. Of you, because you are a very likable person. You're very charismatic. You're very likable. So
I appreciate that.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll wrap this up for a third time. So, okay. Thanks guys. Bye.
See you, Brittany in Omaha.